Awesome. I think we've got everyone. So want to welcome you guys today to our 2023 R2 release that's going to be rolled out this Friday from Sage and from Sage Intacct. Today, Olivia Romer, who is one of our senior implementation consultants here at Ethos, is going to be going over all the new features that's in this release. A lot of cool features throughout the system, and it would be good to make sure you guys see it. So when you log in on Monday morning, or if you're really excited on Saturday morning, you can get in, but Monday morning when you log in, you can see all these changes. So with that, Olivia, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks so much, Stuart. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today's session. So as discussed, we're going to go through the 2023 R2 changes to the software. Just some quick housekeeping items. The presentation is going to be about 30 to 45 minutes long. All the phone lines are muted. If you have a question, if you can enter it into the question box, we would appreciate it. All right, so today we're going to look at all the new features in the 2023 R2 release, and then we'll have some time for question and answer at the end of the session. Okay, starting off right away. Within the accounts payable application, there is now going to be an easier way for you to access vendor records. So previously, when you clicked on the vendor name in the vendor list, it would take you to the AP ledger for that vendor. It is now going to take you directly to the vendor entry screen instead of the AP ledger for that vendor. Also in the accounts receivable, the same thing's going to happen here as well. So when you're in the customer list view, when you click on the customer's name, it is now going to open the customer entry screen instead of drilling down to the AR ledger like it did previously. Also in accounts receivable, you will now have the ability to edit the reversal date of any posted payments. So previously it would just reverse as of whenever you did the reversal. Now you can put in a date for that reversal to happen so that the general ledger can be affected as of whichever date you put in the reverse the transaction on date. The only caveats to this is it will not allow you to reverse to a closed period in either general ledger or in the sub ledger in accounts receivable itself. Some additional changes in accounts receivable. You can now format the date differently on documents that you send to your customers. And this is to add additional visibility for your customers who might use scanning options and things like that for their invoices. So this accommodates different date formats. So the standard date format was month, day, and then 4-digit year, but now you can change it to a European day, month, year, or any other type of format. And that can be done under the preferences for that particular customer. And it would apply to invoices, statements, dunning notices, etc. within Sage Intacct. Also, you can now send dunning notices based on customer groups that you create within Sage Intacct. Previously, it was customer by customer, but now you can do a group of customers. Within cash management, you can now view more of the data within the bank feed. So you can see things like transaction category, the bank reference number, the payee ID and address. These were things that you could not see previously in the bank feeds. They will now be available for you to view, especially when you are matching these different items on the bank feeds. And now there also is support for inter-entity transaction journal entries within the bank feeds. So when you code an item in a bank feed and it is between two entities, it will now create those inter-entity journal entries for you automatically. Previously, this was not supported. All right, in consolidations, whether you're using global or domestic consolidations, you now have the ability to enter in ownership percentages on each entity and also create relationships between entities. And this is going to assist with elimination entries as well as consolidations of your financial reports as well. So it's going to help make the reporting a lot more streamlined and create those eliminations to be easier for you with these percentage of ownerships that you will now have available within the Sage Intacct consolidation application. All right, within the construction application, you now have the ability to add change requests to project contract lines. Previously, you could only add a change order to a specific line in a contract. Now you have the ability to have specific change requests added to specific lines within a contract. So that creates a little bit more visibility within your progress billings within Sage Intacct project contracts. Another feature that's been added is the project commitment tab within the project screen within Sage Intacct. Now you would be able to see all your commitments related to that particular project and various information about that commitment. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so in here, you'll notice that I am inside the Sage Intacct project list window. If I come here to view one of my projects, you will now notice the purchasing commitments tab. If I click here, it's going to show me all of the different purchasing documents that I have within or for this particular job, whether it's a purchase order or a subcontract. It's also going to show me the original amount, any posted change orders, the revised amount of this commitment, what has been invoiced against it, if there has been any amount paid, and the balance of that commitment. So it gives you a nice screenshot of your overall project. And again, that's been added to the project. There's been a new tab added to the project window called Purchasing and Commitments. Okay, also in this release, you will be able to reverse conversions inside of purchasing. So previously, if you wanted to do a negative amount, let's say to a converted purchasing transactions, the software would not allow that. Now you can. There are some settings that will need to be adjusted in order to enable this feature, but you will now be able to reverse conversions of purchasing transactions. So let me show you an example of that here. Okay, so as you can see, I have my various purchase order transactions. If we take a look here at this purchase order, You'll notice that I have converted 25,000 units of this particular item. Well, let's say for some reason that was an accident, only 20,000 should have been converted. That means I'll need to do a negative conversion of $5,000. So to do that, what I will do is come in here, I'll convert because I want to create a vendor invoice for that credit. I will come in here, I will click on this reverse conversion checkbox, and I will come in here and put a negative 5,000 to convert or to remove 5,000. I'm just going to delete the lines that I didn't make any changes to. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and post this. All right, so that has been created. And you'll notice that in my vendor invoices, I will now have an invoice for the negative dollar amount of that total converted amount. So that 5,000 equaled $850 in this example. So now I have a credit invoice here for that vendor. And you will also notice if I go back to my purchase order, the total quantity converted is now reduced to 20,000. So I can go back in later and convert that additional quantities once I've actually received them. Okay. So there's just a few settings that need to be changed. When you're inside purchasing under setup and configuration, you will see some additional check boxes that are available here under the construction section. One of those is enable conversion reversal for non-inventory items. So just to reiterate, the item that this purchase order or subcontract agreement has been coded to must be a non-inventory item in order for you to reverse the conversion. You also have the ability to have Sage Intacct by default, when you convert a transaction, make the quantity or the price 0, so then you can enter in the price. So that is also in here as well. All right, next in the release, in the construction application, you have the ability to summarize time and material billings now on a single project contract line. Previously, any cost codes associated with a project contract line, it would show you all the detail of every item that you chose to bill. Now you can have all those different lines summarize on one line for the total amount of costs that you are entering in on that project contract. So all you need to do on the project contract is go ahead and open up the billing tab and then make sure you check the box to say summarize to a single entry, and it will take all the costs that you are billing and summarize the total to the line of the contract. Next, in the general ledger application, you can now include any subledger transactions in your audit trails. So inside the configure general ledger, you will now see the enable auditing of transactions posted from subledgers. You just check that box and it will now track that audit trail. And also you will be able to see any transactions that have been deleted when using the API. Within the purchasing application, You now have the ability to grant employee users, so the employee user license now has permission to view any and all purchasing transactions that you give them rights to do so. So again, previously there were only certain transactions that employee users could view. Now, employee user license will be able to view any purchasing transactions within Sage Intacct. Again, this is only view-only rights, but this gives you additional visibility into items within your organization. All right, within your advanced reporting, so ICRW reports and the like, you now have the ability to create multiple views of a report that has been created. So you'll notice down below is an example of some different individuals within your organization that might view this report. They give an example of an accounts receivable report. There might be various fields or summarizations that someone would want to view this report in based on the role that they are within the organization. So this allows you to have one report, but various views of that report depending on who is running this report. So this is a really nice feature. I'm really excited to start using this feature in the future for any reports that I run. And this will allow you to also help when you're running certain reports where maybe you don't want certain fields visible to all users. Here, instead of having multiple versions of the same report, you would be able to restrict that information with these different views. Also in this release, you will now be able to drill down on account groups within your financial reports. Previously, this was not available to you. They would be blacked out, but now you do have the ability to drill down. As you can see an example here in this little snapshot, if I click the total assets, I would be able to see the detail of all the accounts that make up total assets, as well as any transactional detail within those accounts. And this works for out of the box account groups, as well as any customized account groups you create within financial reports or the general ledger application. Here are some additional updates that have been created for the user experience. There are now updated import templates for general ledger journal entries, accounts payable vendors, and accounts receivable customers. These templates now use the XLSX format. Previously, they all use the XLS format, so this adds a little bit more feature and functionality within these import templates. In addition, when an employee has been locked out of Sage Intacct, they will now receive an email notifying them that they have been locked out of the software. Oops. So those are some of the highlighted items that are available in this release. Again, this will be released on Friday around 8 p.m. Pacific time. Sage Intacct will go down and it will show you, or it will start updating the software. So make sure that unfortunately, none of you can work late past 8 p.m. Pacific time this Friday, as the software will be updating. And then you will be able to see any of these changes Saturday morning. Also too, if you want a little bit more detail about what is what is included in this release. When you come to the software, you will notice there is a release calendar. If you click on the release, it will show you all the release notes, and it shows you by the different applications. So if you click on the application you're interested in, it's going to show you all the changes to that particular application, as well as instructions on how to enable features and things of the like. Okay. The next release is scheduled to be August 18 of this year, and that will be release 3. Similar to all the other releases, we will have another webinar prior to the release date so that you'll be familiar with some of the features and functionality that will be available as of release 3. Just some quick items here. We will have some additional webinars. Tomorrow, we're going to have change order tips and tricks within Sage Intacct. That is going to be tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central Time. On June 6th, we're going to have a Procore and Sage Intacct tips and tricks webinar, and on June 8th, purchase order approval tips and tricks. So make sure that you sign up to these webinars. We're going to have a lot of good information for all of you. So I'm now going to open it for any questions. So if you want to go ahead and type your question in the box, and we will go ahead and get those questions answered.
I don't see any questions right now, so just a couple. So Olivia, great job. Oh, we actually got one. So the next question is compliance going to, what release is compliance going to be in? So great question there. So that's going to be in the next, that will be in the August release. And so there's going to be broken into 2 parts. They're going to be doing the vendor compliance in the August release, and then there'll be a second part which is handling the lien waivers and all that at the end of the year. So we're excited about those 2 releases. They're adding a lot to the construction aspect to there, and in fact, it was just really announced yesterday that Sage has acquired a company called Corcon, which is a construction project management software, and that is going to be embedded within Sage Intacct as part of the Sage Intacct offering as of October of this year, rebranded to be Sage Project Management. So a lot of stuff going on this year with Sage in the construction aspect. So great question there. Any other last questions? So again, really thank you, Olivia, for putting this together. It was a lot of work putting these webinars together. If you have any questions for her, for myself, please feel free to reach out. Or email information is on the screen there. And we look forward to if you do have any issues, on Monday with the update. Again, we don't usually see any, but if you have any issues or questions afterwards, please reach out to your consultant. We'll be ready for those type of situations. Have a great week, everyone, and thank you so much for attending.
Thank you, everyone.